Do I look the same to you?
Have you lost weight?
I mean, if I have, it's only a few pounds. I think people just remember me fatter, so...
Oh, no, Hannah. You were never fat. You were soft and round, like a dumpling.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Boys Watching Girls. We're just two boys watching HBO's Girls. We're your hosts. I'm Joe Welke.
I'm Vance.
We have been watching the HBO series Girls because we have known nothing about it aside from like general knowledge about it and Lena Dunham and stuff like that. We've never watched one episode until this podcast started. Well, Vance has seen like half an episode. We're just, checking it out, doing a little talking about it afterwards. And today, the episode we watch episode number 3, titled All Adventurous Women Do. Written and directed by Lena Dunham. Original air date, April 29th, 2012. And the amount of viewers, Vance, for this episode.
Hit me.
800,100.
Wait, what? Weren't we at like 8 million before?
No. It's 0.8 million.
Oh, 0.8 million. For the other episodes, they hadn't cracked the million code?
They've never cracked a million.
Really?
First episode, 0.87. Second episode, 0.85. This episode, 0.816.
Interesting. I thought they would at least crack the million.
Nope, not yet.
All right, well, we'll see when they get there.
Yeah, well, you never know, man.
Yeah.
You never know. It was trying times for girls back in 2012.
I feel like 2 mil, 1.2 was... But, yeah.
Maybe later on when more like think pieces were written about the show.
Yeah.
And etc. But
yeah, we're still we're early first season.
Yeah, we're episode number 3. Yeah. All Adventurous Women Do, written and directed by Lena Dunham. So, a little bit of a recap. Yeah. The last episode, Vagina Panic, left on kind of a cliffhanger with...
We felt it was incomplete, but the cliffhanger was she was getting tested.
She was getting tested for it.
That's when we left her with the...
Yeah, we also left kind of with the cliffhanger of Jessa's pregnancy. They never fully explained what happened.
Yeah.
Just Jessa
was supposed to show up for her abortion. Did not show up. She's in a bathroom with another guy. They're hooking up. He puts his hand down the pants, pulls his fingers out. There's blood on the tip. She seems excited.
Yeah, so we don't know.
So we're thinking
exactly what happened, but you can assume that she's not pregnant.
And you would think this episode would address that, but
no, did not at all. Very jarring intro to this episode is let's just get into it. Episode number 3. First thing we see, Marnie with her hands over her eyes, and Charlie, her boyfriend that she's not really feeling anymore, tells her like, "Hey, hang on a second, get ready. All right, take your hands off your eyes."
The worst game of peekaboo ever.
Yeah, exactly. And then the big reveal is Charlie has shaved his head.
I gotta say, when I looked at him, I wasn't sure who that was exactly. Like with his head shaved, I thought it was like maybe her like brother that she's meeting up with or something. I had like no clue it was Charlie. Like initially, just like when it happened, because I was just thrown off with like, where are we? What's happening? And then I was like, okay.
Yeah, I feel like I knew it was him because who else would it be? But they also have a terrible job of introducing characters in the show.
And Marnie goes on to like make fun of him and say, "Look, hideous,
he looks trash. He hates it."
Yeah.
And then he's like, "Well, I did it because one of my coworkers has cancer, and we're all doing it." And then she's like, "Well, great. Now I look like an asshole."
Yeah, which is the chemo. Like he's supporting her chemo. Which you might open with that, but he. Yeah. Of course she was good. What did he think? I wonder what he thought her reaction would be when he did it. If you had to put yourself in Charlie's mindset.
I don't know. Because I do feel like, because he had pretty long, shaggy hair. Mm-hmm. I feel like the shaved head looks more manly. And she's always complaining about how he doesn't look, he's not a man or whatever. So I think it does look more manly. I remember when I shaved my head, I looked scary.
Yeah.
You look a little bit more frightening.
Yeah.
And some chicks are into that.
Yeah, I question whether Marnie knows what she wants at this point too. But
yeah, Marnie's lost. Yeah. Marnie's lost, as we'll see later on. Then in the middle of the cancer talk, Hannah comes out of her room dressed like a fucking goth. Like she looked like she just joined the band The Cure.
Yeah, she has this goth look, but it's like that between goth look and like I'm going out for the night kind of like. Yeah. It looks like she's going more leaning goth, but like I'm going out on a Saturday night and I'm doing myself up.
You know what it looked like? It looked like she was going to like an emo night at a bar.
Yeah.
And she was like, let me get into the character of being an emo kid.
Yeah.
But she ain't living that life.
But I really thought she was going somewhere though.
No.
Yeah.
Because as we find out, she is going over to Adam's place. Yeah. Adam Driver. Next scene is him pumping some iron.
Not iron. He's pumping those old plastic covered sand weights.
Yeah.
Like those cement.
I have those in my basement at my house.
At my house, we still have like one set of those, and I remember those. The ones where the bar does not weigh 45 pounds.
No. God, no.
That bar is hollow. Things will bend. But yeah, so he's pumping weight.
So he's getting fucking jacked, bro. Getting shredded. And then he gets a phone call and he's like, what do you want? She's like, come to the window. And he's like, are you doing something weird? And he looks down and he sees her as a goth.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh my God, you look so fucking hot. Get up here. I'm going to tie you to the bed for 3 weeks or whatever he said. 3 days. 3 days.
I got to say your Adam Driver is getting a little better. I feel like you might have it by this.
Oh my God. You're looking so hot right now. Come up here. I want to find more.
Yeah, I was really disappointed to know that that's where she was going, that she got dressed up for this.
I was disappointed to know that we just, no talk of the STD test, no talk of the abortion for like a good while.
Yeah, like she goes to his place and they hook up.
Yeah,
they're hooking up. And like, I'm like, I guess the STD thing was...
dog barking? Is there a dog barking?
I did hear it. There it is.
Yeah, there we go. Okay. I'm not crazy.
You're crazy, but
I'm definitely crazy.
I don't know if you guys can hear it on the pod, but
yeah. No, there's a dog barking somewhere. Sorry about that, but you can only do so much. But anyway,
we're recording this pod in a junkyard.
Yeah,
on location.
It's so douchey to refer to it as the pod.
It's what it is, man.
So yeah, then this is a very short scene because I think that's it from there. Because then we smash to Jessa and Shoshana, and Jessa's getting ready to go to her babysitting job, and Shoshana's like, I don't know, maybe you should wear something a bit different. And you see what Jessa's wearing, and it's just like a see-through white cloth.
Yeah.
And you can just see her underwear and her bra. And
yeah, it's got a lot of layers on, but it's not really, and she's not exposed. Like, no. It's not a full skin exposed, but it's very like she almost looks like she's like angelic sexy kind of weird.
Yeah.
Like,
it looks like a see-through cover up, like what a woman would wear to the pool and then like take it off and like get in the pool.
Yeah.
Nice butt though. Don't like Jessa though. Jessa's still my least favorite character.
I gotta say, this was the Jessa episode that really turned me. I was giving her a benefit of the doubt the first episode just because I was like, who is this person? Whatever, she's pregnant. Second one, I'm like, she's not even she's gonna stand up an abortion, which not because she wanted to keep a kid, but yeah. And it was just like, okay, that's just irresponsible.
Yeah.
These things never start on time. And like this one was a little, I was like, oh no, this is gonna go real downhill quick.
Yeah, I mean, I am already off the Jessa boat, and this one, this one, in terms of moral stuff, I feel like this was like her best showing so far. And I still don't like her.
I think let's dive into the Jessa stuff and then come back to.
All right, so we're gonna go through Jessa's arc of the episode.
Let's go through Jessa's arc real quick, just because we're on it. The thing, it was as tense as a horror movie when the so she's babysitting for, we don't know who the family is. She was recommended by someone.
Yeah, we first see the mom, which is Catherine Hahn.
Yeah,
I
Catherine
think.
Hahn. Yep.
A lot of guest stars in this episode.
Well, they're not even like big. This is just Catherine Hahn. Well, I don't even know at this point. It's 2012. Has she been in? Yeah, she's the name at that point. Yeah, she's been. Yeah.
Yeah.
First thing I saw her in was the Step Brothers, was what really put her on the map for me. But yeah, so she's the mom. She got 2 daughters. She's getting ready to run out. She's going to be back tomorrow. Did she mention during that scene? Do they mention the husband coming back or anything?
I don't think so, because I was so confused when the husband did come back.
Yeah, I was like, who is this walking into their apartment?
Well, so like Catherine Hahn's like kissing the kids goodbye, giving Jessa like the instructions.
And Jessa's aloof and seems like, what, huh?
Yeah, Jessa doesn't seem like all together.
Not someone you expect a mom like this to leave her kids.
Yeah, I mean,
off of a recommendation.
Jessa immediately looked like overwhelmed and like not into it and like regretting every decision she'd ever made until that point.
Yeah.
And
the best reaction is the mom jokes, you can read her novel, her like 5 or 7-year-old kid's novel, and Jessa looks like stunned, like, oh my god, I have to read a whole novel. And the mom's like, it's just like 10 pages. And she's like, Jessa's so relieved. And you're like, Jessa, did you think this little girl
That's what I was thinking.
wrote a full novel?
J.K. Rowling, you're babysitting J.K. Rowling or some shit?
I would be more impressed. I'd be like, I want to read this.
Jessa, don't worry. It's the same length as Hannah's novel.
She's like, I'm not reading that much.
Fucking Hannah's collection of essays.
But Jessa, so then Jessa's like, I guess she's reading a novel with the kid in a later scene, and she's eating. We got our first eating scene, and she's eating string cheese.
Didn't like it.
That
didn't like it.
Didn't like it. That was as easy as you could get.
Yeah, didn't like it. She was like picking it off real weird.
She was
like
pulling string cheese.
She was pulling the string cheese, but she was doing it like so without gusto, I guess. You know, it was just like so
if it was
lazily.
someone else doing it, would you like it?
If it was Hannah, I would assume that Hannah would just bite right into it and not rip off the string cheese.
Marnie would peel like in a circle around.
Yeah,
it.
Marnie would do it very
even,
perfectly.
Very symmetrical.
Just like her in Get Out when she's eating the Fruit Loops and drinking the milk.
Maybe that's where they got the inspiration from.
Probably. Like, they probably were thinking about that scene like we are right now.
Her audition tape was just like a couple clips of girls with food.
I think Shoshana would chew with her mouth open, so I'd hate that. So I think out of all of these, I would go Marnie.
Yeah.
Because Marnie's like very put together, and she wouldn't allow like string cheese to like flop out of her mouth.
We haven't seen Marnie eat yet, I don't think.
I don't think so either.
Which is the weirdest thing to be talking about, but
yeah. Yeah. Sorry, everybody.
So anyway, just a scene. She's like really just into the string cheese. Doesn't care about the kid reading the story.
Yeah, the kid's reading the story. She asks how to spell that one kid's name, one character's name. She's like, "It's a good name. Keep going."
Yeah.
And I couldn't tell if she was like digging the story or if she was.
She definitely wasn't paying it. Like she had nothing.
Yeah.
But then when we later see her, she's like sleeping on the couch, passed out on the couch. Right? Mm-hmm. And then this guy comes in. And I was like, I was like, who is this guy? Do you know the actor?
I don't know who the actor
recognize,
is.
I don't know his name, but I recognize the face. He's been in some stuff. He comes in all creepily, like he's about to rob the place.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
What is going on?
See, this is what I was thinking. I was like, it's either a robber or it's the dad that's not supposed to be seeing the kids. I thought it was like, don't let the dad come in or something, and then she's like asleep, and then the dad's like, oh, I'm gonna come take my kids back or whatever.
Gotcha, yeah.
So I was like, some bad shit's going on, but no, not really.
Yeah, it was just...
Not yet, anyway.
No. Well, this is where it starts getting... For me, it's tense all throughout.
Well, that's where it was tense
like,
for me.
It was tense, but then it got tense. It got more tense for me later. Because he wakes her up. She gives him some grief about something. About like, your taste is bad because he went to his friend's show at Bowery Ballroom and no one showed up for it.
Yeah.
And he's like, maybe your tastes are bad or whatever. And then he's like, do you smoke weed? Like, the only question you asked was someone that you've never met woke up and offended you. Yeah. But she's pretty in this world.
Yeah,
like
she's hot.
She's hot. So okay. So I guess they smoke and they start eating the kids' snacks in the kitchen, and it has this really like weird flirtatious. She's giving him shit, and he's just like,
yeah, it's
kind of like
it's
loving
flirty
it.
banter kind of. It seems like,
which is better than the flirty banter I thought we have later
in another
scene
story.
Yeah. But the thing that was so tense, I was like, oh, I really don't want Jessica to hook up with this guy. I really don't. And I was like, oh, please don't let this happen right now.
Dude, I could have swore that it was going to happen because it was like flirty banter. I was like,
this is going to be a hookup. The kids are going to come out and see this. Yep. I was like, this is going to be.
Well, that scene also took kind of like a tense turn too, because they were talking about their jobs or something, and then Jessa was like, "What, do you not have a job?"
Yeah,
and then things really got like really quiet.
And he's like, "What do you plan to do with your life?" And it was like they hadn't got to the point where they could like really dive deep into that. It should have been more nonsensical. Like we didn't need to wait. I don't know. But then the kids come out. They wake the kid up, and one of the kids comes out and kind of breaks up this little tension thing.
Yeah, ask the dad why he is eating her snacks.
Yeah. You go to these are snacks for school. Do you go to night school?
Yeah, it's like, you don't go to night school, Daddy.
Yeah. And it was funny. Super. And the thing that leaves it off is that Jessa, he's like, oh, Jessa, let me go get the money to pay you, and she's like, no, I'll get it tomorrow, and then she leaves. Yeah, meaning she's gonna come back.
Yeah, well, it wasn't established.
Yeah, like
I mean, it doesn't really need to be, I guess. Or you could just assume that she's
like this feels like because of the way they left it that this isn't a one-off story.
No, I mean, Jess is definitely gonna fuck that dad.
Yeah,
Jess is just a bad person.
Yeah,
I hate her.
And the biggest thing here, though, is that we never really concluded what happened with the abortion. Like she hasn't in this episode, she doesn't interact with any of the other girls.
Except for Shoshana at the beginning, where she's like, you look like you're dressed unprofessional. Yeah. And by the way, she didn't change her outfit. She's wearing the sheer see-through thing with the underwear, which, like, I understand why the dad is like, hey, you want to smoke some weed? Because she's fucking hot and basically just wearing underwear.
He's got.
He's a man of simple pleasures.
Man of simple pleasures. He's coming back from Bowery Ballroom
with his friend's terrible show.
Yeah, wants to smoke some weed
wants to smoke some weed with a hot chick.
Yeah. And it's just weird that no one brought up the fact of like, oh, I guess you're not pregnant anymore. No one's mad. Like I was ready. I really wanted to see the Marnie ripping into her.
Yeah,
that's what I was waiting for from last episode.
Nope, not.
And there's no resolution on that.
Nope.
No, like. Okay.
We don't even know what happened.
No.
And it took like...
And it could have just been a line, a phone call. It was like, well, I'm happy you're not... something just to like wrap that up and move on. But it's almost as if that never happened.
Nope.
It
didn't.
I mean, are they going to bring it up next episode? Or what? I don't even know what's going to happen next time they see each other.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know what's... Because it took like halfway through this episode before they address what's going on with Hannah.
Yeah.
Like, it just seemed like that last episode didn't even exist
for the first
episode.
For at least for the first like 5 or so minutes. Like
it was like at least 7 to 10.
Yeah.
And I was just like, well, wait, what? What?
Yeah. So let's get to that. We got to.
You want to go to Hannah or Marnie?
Let's go to Hannah. So
all right.
When we left her, she's hooking up with Adam.
She's with Adam. He loves the goth look. He's going to tie her to his bed for 3 days.
And we cut back to him, and they're post-coital.
Yeah, he's grabbing her fat.
He's grabbing her little. He's sitting behind her, his legs around her, and he's playing with her belly.
Yeah, and he's like, your stomach is so funny. Dude, it's like, oh my god, dude, this guy is so clueless.
Yeah.
And she's like, do you mind not doing that? Yeah. Like, I don't want my body to be funny. He's like, but why? It's great.
Yeah.
She's like, dude.
I mean, he's an oblivious obviously an oblivious person to the thing.
Yeah. And like in an attempt to make her feel better, he's like, check out me. I got fat too. And it's like, he's got abs and stuff. Yeah. And he's like, collect my fat. Collect it. It'll make you feel less alone. It's just like, dude, you're saying all the wrong things here. You are saying all the wrong things.
Yeah. And it's like obvious, like from episode 1, she has issues, like some body issues and like eating issues.
She has.
And they talk about, he asked her, does she eat for pleasure or do you eat for fuel? And like, I can say from across this table, I'm a person that eats for pleasure.
Yeah.
And you're a person that eats for fuel.
Yeah.
Or
Well,
less.
I eat
But
for pleasure every once in a while.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Every one of my meals is pleasurable.
Yeah. I mean, I enjoy the
Yeah.
stuff that I eat, but like it's very bland. It's not like I'm fucking killing it every meal, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's just like mad uncomfortable.
Yeah, and like I feel like this is what you kind of expect for her to like put on display on the show, and I feel like it's something that like can resonate with a lot of people.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, she has low self-worth.
I feel like she is hot. It's one of those like low self-worth from society's image, but like high confident self-esteem. Because that's one of the things. Like if you have that low self-worth, you're not episode 2 being naked in front of things. You know what I mean? Like you would like keep your shirt on if you have like that. You know, like if you're so self-conscious about your body, but it's like she's she has been so self-conscious about it that she's going further to be like, no, this is my body, and now the best way to embrace it is to be like, show the world. This is like, not everybody's gonna be like a skinny size whatever, you know.
I feel like it's like a double-edged sword thing, where because like it's just like with everything. I'm sure that you feel this way, but like speaking from my experience, like let's say as a comedian. So I do comedy. I'm a comedian. Check me out. Just YouTube me, Joe Welke, at Joe Welke on Instagram, blah, blah, blah. JoeWelke.com.
Shameless.
But a lot of nights, I'm like, I'm the best comic. And like, why am I not getting more shit going? And like, why don't I have more spots? And then other nights, I'm like, I'm the worst. I'm going to quit. So I feel like Hannah has some of that going on where it's like, you have low self-worth. And when you're feeling low, you go to Adam to give you more self-worth, but he just like keeps knocking you down because he's a doofus.
Yeah, I was talking about her more as not Hannah, but as
Lena Dunham.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm just talking about Hannah.
Okay, yeah, I was talking more Lena Dunham herself.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I feel like
Hannah's character doesn't have, like, Hannah's character is the lack of self-worth that Lena Dunham is putting onto that. It's not her like confident side of like, okay, I know what I'm doing. I'm running a show on HBO. Like I can do this. Like it's not that confident version of herself. It's that lower part. Yeah.
Well, Hannah's confident in some ways, like where she's like, I'm a good writer. I'm like funny and all this stuff. But there's other things, you know. That's just like everybody. We have different skills and worth feelings, I guess. So after they pinch each other's fat for a bit, Hannah gets a phone call. Mm-hmm. It is from her gynecologist.
And I'm like, yes, we're back in.
Finally. We get a little bit of a resolution to what's going on with Hannah and her vagina. Dun, dun, dun. Hannah's got HPV. And Adam doesn't understand how or why.
And he tries to comfort her a little. He tries to comfort her more in a better way than he did when he found. What was the first? It was one of the first episodes where he tries to comfort her and he doesn't know how. Was it the friend's abortion thing? Was that last episode? It was something where he could just.
Where he's just like, oh, that's not a big deal.
Yeah.
And she was like, it is a big deal. And he was like, okay, fucking whatever, goodbye.
No, that was like, I'm fine and you're pretty or something like that.
Oh,
yeah, like,
right.
So like this time he was like, he really felt like a human.
Yeah, he like hugged her and he was like, oh my God, that's so terrible.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
Yeah.
And then she's like, well, if I have HPV, I'm pretty sure I got it from you because you're the only person I've been having sex with. And then it immediately like turns and he's like, what the fuck? Get the fuck out of here. He
completely resented it. Said he would dick doctor. His friend's a dick doctor and he got tested and he didn't have it.
Yeah.
It was the thing that was interesting about the phone call, if we go back just a step. I was thinking that phone call wouldn't even happen because I was like, maybe she wouldn't hook up with Adam again until finding out about the STD. Like she went to get the test, was worried about the stuff coming up on the side of condoms. I was like, she's not going to Adam until she knows. And when she went over there, I was like, oh, the test must be fine. She doesn't have anything. She got dressed up to go over there too.
Oh yeah.
from what we've seen last episode, you're like, I don't even know if I should be with this guy because he might have a disease.
Yeah.
Too. Oh, you're over there hooking up with him.
Well, I don't know if they actually did hook up because after they have like a little bit of a spat, and Adam is kind of like, I resent you for
No, she said,
accusing
will
me.
you keep having sex with me? Not, will you have sex?
I think it was like, do you want to still have sex with me?
I thought he was just saying, like, can we keep coming back?
Oh, okay.
That's the way I
what
took
you
it.
Okay.
I took it like, can we keep
Yeah, I
this
could see
booty call
that.
thing working?
I
And
thought
he said
it was-
he said because he was like in time or like
Yo,
he said something
yeah.
It was like, you know, they're going through their
When it's
like,
appropriate. He
yeah,
said,
when it's appropriate. It's like one of those things where like they're in their hookup like just spat or whatever, you know.
Yeah,
Where they're not gonna be hooking up for the next week, and then we'll reconvene a week later when.
Because Adam's such an idiot. He
Cool.
probably thought,
It's
he's like,
brutal,
wait
yeah.
till you cure it or whatever. And so then Adam's like doing weird bicycle ab exercises, and she leaves, and it's
Well, she said something where she said HPV is not prevented by condoms, which I wrote down and put a question mark next to because I was like, is HPV not prevented by condoms?
Well, HPV, like certain strains of it, I don't think is because genital warts. A certain strain of it is, and I think that's like if you touch it.
Yeah, but the
then
one
you
that can
get
cause
it.
cervical. Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know, man.
Yeah, I will say I don't.
Well, as we find out later,
Yeah.
we have a lot to learn about HPV.
Well, I did know that about HPV, but we find out later.
All right, so what's up next with Hannah?
Yeah, let's dive into some Marnie stuff.
Oh, no,
before
we gotta
go.
finish Hannah, dude.
You want to go full Hannah?
We gotta go full Hannah, and then we gotta go full Marnie, because I think Marnie had the best, my favorite thing to happen this episode.
Oh, yeah, it's your favorite. I'm gonna say best scene for me is the scene coming up with Hannah.
With Shoshana?
No, I did like the Shoshana one.
So that's the next scene that I have.
Let's
right
do
now.
that.
So
I'll tease
Hannah
you
goes
that,
over
I'll tease.
to Shoshana's, and she's looking for Jessa. And Shoshana's like, I don't know, she's at her job. And then she's like, oh, I guess everybody has a fucking job these days.
You know what I liked about that? What I liked about seeing them together? Now I realize, okay, Shoshana is just an ancillary friend.
Yo,
She's
yeah.
just because Jessa's around, that's how they know her. She's not a part of the crew
Yeah.
at all.
They only like hang out with her because Jess is there.
Like I thought Hannah was gonna be like, oh, Jess isn't here. Jess isn't here. I'm out.
But I don't understand why they like Jessa, because Jessa sucks.
And they don't interact with her in a lot of these episodes.
No.
So we still haven't figured out that tie.
So Shoshana's watching one of my favorite game shows.
Never heard of it.
Baggage with Jerry Springer. It's a fantastic show, Vance. You should definitely check it out. And they're talking about like, well, what would your baggage be? And Shoshana's like,
What is baggage for people
right.
of the game show network?
For people that don't know what baggage is, there are 3 contestants vying for the love of one single person. There are 3 rounds of this show. Each round, people have a little like suitcases, right? Their baggage. And it starts small. You have a small piece of baggage, a medium piece of baggage, and a big piece of baggage. So on the episodes that I've seen, like an example of the small piece of baggage is like a person would reveal that they eat bottles of ranch dressing raw. And it's like you have to choose.
That seems like your nightmare.
Oh yeah, that'd be terrible. But so each person reveals a little small piece of baggage, like, oh, I spend $1,000 on my weave. That was the example on girls. And then the guy has to decide which piece of baggage between those 3 girls is the least red flaggy.
Does he know which girl the bags belong to?
Yes.
Okay.
So then it goes up to a higher piece of baggage, which is like, blah, 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 whatever. And then it gets to the biggest piece of baggage, which is like severe. These are red flags that should turn people off. And
I don't know if you're casting for that show. You're only casting people with the biggest baggage.
Oh, my friend Kim was on that show. She's a comic. She's
Yeah.
hilarious. Kim Crawl, everybody. Check out her podcast. I forget what it's called, but it's the Kim and Ken show. That's what she does it with Ken Gar. She was on that show. And but the biggest piece of baggage is usually like, I'm hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt, And then the guy gets to ask, like, can you explain why? And people will be like, well, it's student loans, man. Like, whatever. And some of them, or like Shoshana's was, if she was on the show.
So in the show, they go, Shoshana starts rattling off hers, like her small one would be IBS.
Yeah. Her medium one would be she doesn't love her grandmother.
Which is hilarious.
Like, I don't think anyone
just
would
like
care about that.
when Hannah asked her, she's like, no, I just don't love her. It's like so funny, her delivery of that
She's like,
line.
not at all. And she's
Not
like,
at
no,
all.
not at all.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay. And her biggest baggage was that she's a virgin.
Yeah, and this is, I guess, apparently some talk might have happened between this, because it doesn't seem like she's saying this to Hannah as like a first time thing.
Yeah.
She's saying it was like, as you already know.
Yeah.
Which,
I mean, Marnie probably told Hannah.
Yeah.
She said, I'm a virgin, obviously.
Yeah.
And then so Hannah's is like, number one, she can't get a job. Number two, her medium baggage would be, I forget what it was. I don't know. But her biggest baggage was that she has HPV. And Shoshana looks at her. Shoshana the virgin. She's like, oh, that's not a big deal.
I'm telling you, Shoshana is like the unlikely voice of reason in the show. It's like so great. Because she's the one that convinces, because Hannah is now convinced that like after Adam told her that he got tested and he didn't have it, she's convinced that it had to be the only other sexual partner she had in college, which was
Elijah.
This guy, Elijah. And Shoshana's like, you have to tell him.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, it doesn't affect guys, blah, blah, blah. But she's like, you don't want him passing it along or whatever. And she's like, yeah.
She is a solid voice of reason
like
for like a ditzy dummy.
Yeah.
I like Shoshana.
And then she, because it ends with the best, where Hannah's like, but what if we end up sleeping together when we meet up? And she's like, well, it's fine. You both have HPV.
Yep.
And it's like,
and she's like, wow, logic.
Yeah. So Shoshana's going to just pop in and just really start dropping knowledge bombs on people.
But this is also where we get the title from, All Adventurous Women Do, from Jessa about HPV, which is kind of true. Yeah, I feel like everybody has HPV these days.
Yeah, you probably don't want it if you're...
Yeah, you definitely don't want it. I think they have like a vaccine for it now.
Yeah, they do have the HPV vaccine.
You can get it before you have it, but if you already have it, you kind of just have it. Anyway...
But yeah, so Shoshana is telling her that Jessa has HPV
Jessa has a couple of strains. Yeah,
she says, and she tells her that
should surprise no one,
as all adventurous women do.
Yeah.
So we get a nice title drop here.
Yes, we do. Then we get was Hannah calling Marnie at work about HPV? Was that before?
That was before this. Yeah.
Okay. So sorry, we skipped that part. Hannah calls Marnie at work.
And we find out what Marnie does.
Marnie works at an art gallery.
Yeah, she's a, assistant at an art gallery.
Yep. Yeah. So she calls her, tells her she has HPV, and Marnie immediately starts bursting out crying. And she's like, this is bullshit.
I thought she was going to be laughing because they
I
hear
thought
her
was
crying
laughing
over the phone before they cut back to her, and I really thought Marnie was going to be laughing.
That's what I
being
thought.
Like, and they were just going to tag on to like, yeah, whatever, it's not a big deal.
Yeah. But she's crying. She's like, this is bullshit. Like, you take such good care of yourself and you're so safe. And it's like, how could that possibly be? Yeah. And like, Adam's such a piece of shit. And Hannah's like, well, Adam said he doesn't have it. And she's like, well, then it must be Elijah.
Yeah.
So anyway, sorry, we skipped that part. It was kind of like a non-consequential, except for like
we found out what Marnie's job is,
and she's very unprofessional because she's bursting out in tears and then like
it's an
laughing
open office.
and
she does not have a
HPV.
corner. She does not have a corner office.
No, she's like the receptionist. It looks like, or some kind of assistant or something.
We're at a different angle than we were in the second one. They're definitely in a different location.
All right, so next up for Hannah is she's at a bar waiting for Elijah to show up so she can break the news to him. And Elijah shows up. Lo and behold, it is Andrew Reynolds from Book of Mormon fame.
Oh, that's what that is.
You didn't know who
First run?
Yeah, he was the original cast.
Okay, yeah.
You didn't know Andrew Reynolds?
No.
There were a lot of guest stars in this. You got Catherine Hahn.
No, I know Catherine
Andrew
Hahn.
Reynolds, and then, a surprise third act person for Marnie's story.
Yeah.
So yeah, Elijah shows up. This is what I have written down for for Elijah showing up. I wrote down, Elijah is so hot, I could see why he left Hannah.
Ouch.
I mean, Andrew Reynolds is so
it
fucking hot, dude.
All right.
He's hot as shit.
All right.
He's a classically handsome man. He's got great hair. He's got great teeth.
Yeah, I mean,
Super hot guy. Admit it, Vance.
yeah, he's a good-looking guy. I'm not saying otherwise. But we find out there's another reason why he left Hannah.
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
There's a little like back and forth between them, and she's like, "I'm not interested in revisiting us emotionally. I might be down physically, but I have other things to say, and I want to talk about something very important with you." And he's like, "I'm so glad that you brought this up. I didn't want you to hear about it through the rumor mill. I didn't want it to be like blah, blah, blah."
Yeah.
And she's like, "Okay." And he's like, "I'm gay."
Well, he doesn't. Well, basically, he doesn't. No, he doesn't. He actually defines that he's not gay. He comes out and says, He's like, "I'm seeing this guy, Bo or whatever," and she's like, "Wait, what?" "Yeah, my lover." And she's like, "He's a guy?" And she's like, "Yeah."
Yeah, and she's like,
bet you
"Bo
know."
is a guy?"
Yeah, and he's like, "Yeah, I thought you knew." And she's like, "Oh, I didn't know." And he's like, and then she goes on to be like, "So you're gay?" And he's like, "No, I'm currently sleeping with a man, but like, I'm not." Like, he doesn't define himself as gay. Like, if anything, he's bi or fluid. Or,
Yeah. Some non-conforming.
Yeah,
Queer.
yeah, exactly. But he doesn't want to
All
lock
those
into.
words.
He doesn't want to lock into "I'm gay."
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah.
So Hannah's confused.
Yeah. This is my favorite scene of the whole episode. It's great. It's
hilarious.
It's so tense and funny and like great. Like just the banter is like it's excellent.
The banter, the writing for this is really good. It's really funny, and like they're back and forth about like, dude, I wish I had took more notes on it, but I was just like enjoying it.
Well,
much.
she tries to. Well, then she gets upset that he says that he thought about guys when he was with her in college.
Yeah,
and he's mad about that. He called her handsome.
Yeah,
she said, "How could you do that?"
He's like, "How could you have sex with me if you wanted to have sex with guys?" And he's like, "There's a handsome quality about you," which I was like,
"Oh, I got that."
That's brutal.
And then she's like, "You know what? I didn't come here to like rehash all old stuff. I wanted to say that you gave me an STD." And he's looking at her like, "What are you talking about?" Mm-hmm. And she tells him that I've only been with 2 guys, and like one of them says he's gotten tested, and you gave me HPV.
Yeah.
And he is like dumbfounded because he says there's no test for HPV in men.
For men.
And
so it's like, so the guy that you were talking to is a liar.
Yeah.
And then she's like, "Well, you're also a liar because you said that you weren't gay." And he's like, "I am not lying.
Yeah.
I just am living my truth." Dude, that back and forth was so good about it.
So good. And I love that it matched Adam's resentment of being accused of giving an STD.
Yeah.
Like, he reacted the same way when he was accused. Like, he was like, "What are you doing?
Yeah.
How dare you accuse me?"
And then she's like, "Well, he's like, how could you not tell I was gay?" She's like, "Look at all the other guys you've dated. Look at your dad." He calls her dad gay.
Yeah, he says, because she gets on him about his voice inflection and the scarf he's got on and his mannerisms. And she's like, "If you acted like this in college, I would have seen you with my 2 eyes and known that you were gay."
Yeah.
And then he brings up her dad as a person. And she's like, "What?"
And he's like, he has a studded earring. And he's like, "Well, he only got that when he was traveling abroad with his male friends." And he was just, Andrew Reynolds was just like,
She's like, "I know how that sounds." Yeah. But he definitely digs in before he leaves into like, "And your dad's gay."
Dude, it's so funny because she's like, "I will not allow you to have the last word in this conversation." And he just turns to her and she goes, "Goodbye, your dad is gay," and walks away. I was like,
and that to me is such a good, like, I can't wait to see scenes with her and her dad later.
I hope Elijah comes back too.
I don't think Elijah's coming back, but
hilarious.
I will love it to see her and her mom deal with their dad being gay. Thinking back in the pilot,
when he was talking
has
about
a little flamboyantness to him.
When he was talking about how her
which
dad's
definitely
gay,
doesn't define gayness, but like,
yeah. I was like, well, I could see how her dad could be gay.
Yeah. Once they bring it up, you're not like, no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then you just see Hannah tweeting, and that's kind of like the end of her thing where she tweets all adventurous women do.
Yeah.
And then she starts dancing alone, and then Marnie comes on.
Marnie comes in, but then we have to get into the Marnie story.
You
But
wanna
I'll say it was nice to see the old Twitter.
Oh yeah, the old Twitter interface.
Yeah.
From 2012.
Yeah.
That's so bizarre. Back when you could only have 140 characters.
Yeah.
Um.
So to go to Marnie.
I was gonna say that basically wraps up what goes on for Hannah.
Yeah, Hannah has a good little arc there. I mean, her story, and I will say, like, we complained last episode felt incomplete. Like, this one felt like a complete
This one did feel
wrap-up.
complete.
This one felt like a complete wrap-up with that, and, like...
Yeah, I like
and,
where it
and
ended.
needed some teasingness to it, because you got Adam lying, or being an idiot, and kind of lying about the HPV, possibility of her dad being gay.
Like, then you got Jessa and the dad that she's babysitting with, and
we got to tease that Rent's due in a week too. On that phone call with Marnie about HPV.
Yeah, she's like, I'm pre-cancer. Hannah's just being like, look, I'm gonna be fine. It's fine. And then once the rent is brought up, she's like, I have cancer.
I'm pre-cancer. So we got a lot of things happening. So it felt like,
good arc for Hannah, and now we get into the juice.
All right, so Marnie's at a gallery opening.
Marnie's at a gallery. We get to see her at work doing what she does.
Yeah.
She's like, you get to see her stupid, awful boss.
Was that her that was her boss that came over
guessing.
just dropping off like plot forcing lines? Like she was a vomiting character coming in there being like, oh, because Marnie talks to some guy that just walks over. She's like, ooh, he's tall dick or something.
Yeah.
And then like this other artist shows up and he's like, oh, her boyfriend sucks and
like,
you should hook up with her.
You should hook up with this guy.
Yeah.
She says that she has a boyfriend, but I've never seen him. And then she walks away.
She like drunkenly walks away as if like, wait, was that your job just to like say that?
Yep.
See? Yeah.
Lo and behold, though, the artist that she meets with is none other than the Lonely Island's own Jorma Taccone. I was just like, there are so many.
Well, there's
going to
be a lot of guest stars. It's an HBO show.
I guess
they're
so,
digging,
man. But I was just like, is that fucking Jorma Taccone?
I wouldn't call Jorma the biggest like acting star though.
No.
So I don't think everyone.
Who do you think is the biggest guest star we've seen so far?
Guest star we've seen so far. Maybe Catherine Hahn. Who else have we seen?
Catherine Hahn, Jorma Taccone, whoever the dad is from the baby.
Like Adam Driver right now is the biggest star.
Well, he is not. He's
yeah,
like
but he's not the guest star, but he's the biggest star from this.
Mike Birbiglia.
Mike Birbiglia, yeah.
There was 3 in this episode. It was Jorma, Catherine Hahn.
Yeah, I mean, even the dad coming in, he's a somebody. But yeah.
Anyway, whatever.
I don't know why you can't. So we're gonna see a bunch of stars, man. This show's this is HBO show.
I'm trying to think of who the other. Oh, Andrew Rannells. Well, he's definitely not the biggest star, but he's he's pretty big.
Has he been in anything other than?
He's been in a couple like TV shows and movies and stuff.
Okay.
But anyway, Jorma Taccone.
Yeah.
He's there, and then Marnie is immediately like starstruck. She's like, I just love your work. And then he's like, hey, how about you give less of a shit?
Yeah. Because
you're like coming off like a dunce right now.
And I was like, oh, that's so great. Like, it's mean to say, but such a great, like,
it is.
It's great advice.
Yeah.
It's great advice for people. I know we just went on a tangent of naming who's the best guest celebrity. But when you meet a celebrity, like, just react to them like they're regular people in a way.
Be cool.
Yeah. Because nobody likes the fawning. Like, some people like the fawning, I'm sure, but like...
Oh, yeah. Dude, if I was a celebrity and people didn't occasionally fawn, I'd be pissed.
But if you're going to be trapped in like a small exhibition where everyone's just fawning over you, the person that's not fawning over you is going to be the one that you are gravitating towards to try to make them fawn over you, or at least. Or like, or it's like, okay, that person seems kind of normal.
Yeah. So from that moment on, Marnie is just eating out of Jorma Taccone's hands. She is like, oh, who is this man? Oh, give less of a shit.
We don't really see anything with them after that until they leave the...
Well, she's like a giggly dumbass right after that.
It turns hard rom-com.
Yeah.
Without the tact of...
I will say this. Allison Williams looks taller than Jorma in these scenes, and she's definitely broader than him. He is a small little man.
He's small, yeah. And she's probably a little above. What is she like?
I would assume that she's 5'10".
5'10".
I'm gonna say that she's 5. Let me look it up.
Okay, well, you look it up. Let me describe. So they come out. The next scene we see them. They're leaving the exhibition, and they're running across the street, and they're trying to go. Are they trying to go? Is that the High Line? They're trying to go to the High Line, but it's closed at that point. So they're just kind of standing there. He's trying to smoke a cigarette. She tells him she tells him that they're bad for you, and then he's like, "Oh no, cigarettes are bad," and puts it out like jokingly, being like, "I know cigarettes are bad, Mom," like whatever. But you could tell that they've obviously been like flirting and having some banter back and forth.
Wow. Okay, I'm so wrong in this. I'm sorry. Sorry to interrupt you. Allison Williams is 5'6". Yorma Taccone is 5'8". Both of these people, pretty damn short.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're having banter. It's very flirty. Yeah. Allison Williams giggling like such a fucking schoolgirl.
It just felt like they did the opposite of what the Jessa and the dad situation had.
Yeah.
Where they had that like antagonistic like tension where you're like, oh no, just one wrong move and they're gonna hook up on this.
Oh yeah.
on this kitchen island.
So they're giggling. They go to the High Line. He's smoking cigarettes or whatever, and then Allison Williams, giggly little schoolgirl, she's like, I just want to throw it out there. Yeah. I'm not going to kiss you. And he's like, what made you think that I wanted that? Like, typical scumbag. Like, this guy is...
This is just uncomfortable.
As soon as she said that, I was like, they're definitely going to kiss.
Yeah.
But no. They go one better.
So this is your favorite part.
Oh, it's the line of the episode.
I'm gonna let you ride with it.
Yorma Taccone gets up in her personal space, and she's like,
it's uncomfortable looking at first.
Yeah, she's like, she's like, oh god, like, is he gonna kiss me? She's like excited, but like kind of nervous and blah blah blah. She's starstruck. She's got all these emotions going on, and he goes up to her. He's about 3 inches away from her face. And he says, I just want you to know, the first time I fuck you, you're going to be scared because I'm a man and I know what I'm doing. And then just walks away. And I was like...
It was hard to watch the rest of the episode when you stood up and slowly clapped.
And Allison Williams is like, oh, this is what I've been wanting.
This is what she's...
Charlie is not this guy. I want a man that knows
Charlie
what he's doing.
his head for chemo patients.
So what does Marnie do? She immediately goes back to the art gallery, goes to the bathroom, and starts fingering herself.
She just starts masturbating because she has never been talked to like that.
Never been talked to.
And I mean, Adam would talk to her like this anytime she wanted.
I don't know, man. Adam would say something offensive. But like, dude, Marnie... Oh, I'm a man and I know how to do things. Wow, dude. That was just... that was like one of those moments.
I will say, for the scene to be as bad as it was, though, like
it was
the
cheesy.
Giggly, cheesy,
Marnie was so obvious.
And like...
Yeah, they obviously both wanted to fuck. And Marnie's like, no,
I think it's also better, the line coming from Jorma.
Yeah.
Because if it was coming from like...
a taller, more intimidating man.
Yeah, it was kind of like...
Well, because he really got up in her space.
Yeah, I mean, it was really close and comfortable. But it was like funny because it was him saying it with the like kind of like with the smirk and this cockiness. And then he like
skipped away.
He like skips away with his hand in his pocket. Like
he also has a stupid coat on. He looks like a little boy.
He looked like a little fairy, like a Peter Pan-esque character, like running off, like a
yeah,
wood
that's
nymph.
A good way, like a little lost
just
boy.
Like running. He's just like, I didn't know things. And just runs off.
The first time I fuck you, you're gonna be scared because I'm a man and I know how to do things. Like
okay, and just skips off, and it's just like it was great. So it kind of salvaged, so like the end of that scene kind of salvaged
that line alone. I'm a man, I know how to do things is so awful.
Yeah,
like it's just like he didn't say what. Like
I really want them to have their first sex scene and it'd be awful.
Oh yeah, but then Marnie just couldn't wait to go to the bathroom, locks the door, and just goes to town flicking
Nothing's
that beam.
nothing's gonna be better than what she's imagining.
Oh yeah, no,
Yeah.
she's built it up. It's not going to be that good. He's probably going to bust in like 2 seconds. So then, to wrap up Hannah's story, she comes home, wrap up Marnie's story. She comes home, sees Hannah dancing alone. She's like, "What are you doing?" And she's like, "I'm
leaning
just
against the door jamb.
Yeah, and then Hannah's like, "I'm just dancing. Also, Elijah's gay. Isn't that funny?" And then Marnie's like, "Yeah, that is pretty funny and also obvious." And they just dance together.
Yeah,
and that's the end.
They keep saying he seemed gay.
Yeah.
He seemed gay. And it's like, all right, like.
But then
Yeah.
they're dancing, and that's the end of the episode. I thought that was a good end. It was a good like bonding moment between them, where you're like, "Oh, these two are really best friends."
What caused her to start dance? Like, I mean, you don't really need a reason. Like, a lot of shows end with people hugging. Like, Entourage always ended with the 4 guys together somehow, even though the whole goal of the show was for them to hook up with people. There'd be like episodes that end with the 4 of them sitting on a beach watching the sunrise, and you're like, weren't you guys just at a mansion with Playboy models? Like, and it kind of had that feel where it's like everyone just gets together and just like has a happy time.
Yeah, but it was better than last episode.
Better than last episode. I don't know what triggered her because she was typing stuff in Twitter. Hannah was typing a bunch of like deep stuff. She was like, "Oh, my boyfriend in college turned out to be gay," and then all of a sudden she's just like, "Oh, maybe I'll just type in." All adventurous women do. And then she starts
tripled down.
And then she starts dancing.
Yep.
And starts dancing. And I was like, all
sometimes
right.
you gotta dance.
Yeah.
Sometimes you gotta dance, Vance.
Yeah. They're all adventurous women at this point.
Yep.
They're all living adventures.
Jessa's got her
fingering each other.
Dude, Jessa's banging dudes in the bathroom. Marnie's fingering herself in the bathroom.
Marnie's masturbating at work.
Hannah's eating cupcakes.
And there's a reference of Hannah. Yep. 4 cupcakes, ate one in Shoshana's bathroom. She likes eating cupcakes in the bathroom. I don't know what the deal is with that, but it's running.
That's her thing.
Yeah.
All right, you got any final thoughts?
I like it.
You got any final thoughts for this episode, Vance?
It's a good solid episode. Like I wish they would have delved into the abortion thing and got a little reaction to that.
Yeah. I'm with you on
just
that.
a little bit. Like, I wouldn't want to take away from the storylines that they set up, but just a little bit of closure. Even it was just Shoshana when she's talking about the babysitting. Like, just the storyline going to babysitting didn't even seem to play off like, oh, she just had an abortion or thought she was pregnant and now she's with kids.
Yeah.
How does she feel now that she's actually babysitting kids? Like, no, it had nothing to do with it. It was just a setup of her to possibly meet this weirdo dad.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I just thought a little bit of payoff there might have been interesting.
Yeah, they just abandoned that abortion thing like super hard.
Yeah.
I thought it was a good episode.
Was the abortion thing in the pilot? That was the pilot.
Yeah, the pilot was she was like, "I'm pregnant." Then the second episode was
because with the pilot
abortion.
they sometimes they probably did that one way before like getting greenlit for the whole series maybe.
True.
And like that was something they had, and then they were like, "Well, we gotta taper it out," and they were just like, "Let's get rid of it." So I don't know if that's true or not, but that's kind of how it feels. It feels like they weren't going to do the whole, we have a friend that's pregnant for the whole season.
Yeah.
Or like, yeah. I
know.
know. Like, because they didn't milk the abortion. The abortion could have come like 5 episodes later if you really wanted it. Like, they went 2nd episode, abortion, setup. Like, so they're moving. Things are moving.
I thought this episode was good. I thought this one so far is the funniest one.
Yeah.
I laughed out loud.
Yeah. I will say there's always like those standout scenes like the
Andrew Reynolds, your dad's gay.
Yeah.
That was so funny.
Yorma
Tacone, line of the series so far.
I don't know.
I think you're gonna be scared.
I think Adam Driver's got the lines.
What do you think is his best line so far?
He said something. He said something in a pilot I can't remember, but it was like pretty funny. Like, he's just a strange man, strange character.
He's a bizarre person.
Love it.
Yeah.
But overall, I'm liking it. I'm excited to see what happens next.
Yeah. Well, what happens next, Vance, in episode number 4, no spoilers, but it is titled Hannah's Diary. What do you think?
I don't even know what to think for that one.
Well, it's titled Hannah's Diary.
Ooh,
We'll
is Marnie
find out.
Is Marnie gonna see our diary and think
Is
something?
Adam gonna read it?
She probably would.
He's gonna be like, "Oh, what's this?
She would
This is
probably let
stupid."
Adam read it.
Yeah, she probably would.
Yeah.
Probably contains her multitudes of some other crap. Who knows?
But no, this one left with a much better feeling than the last one.
This one felt complete.
Yeah.
Had a good wrap up.
Yeah.
And a cliff. It had a good wrap up. It wasn't like
no
a
cliffhangers, but stuff to tease for later. Like stuff that possibly could happen. Like I'm more interested to see Marnie's love triangle thing here.
Oh yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's it for this episode. I've been Joe Welke.
I'm Vance.
And first time I fuck you, you're going to be scared because I'm a man and I know how to do things. All right, guys, later.
But I want you to know, the first time I fuck you, I might scare you a little. Because I'm a man, and I know how to do things. See you later.